So this is still the Supreme Lord speaking. Already he had told Savitri, yes, what you have asked for, I give. And now he's telling her, you can return to earth with Shraddhavan. Descend to life with him thy heart desires. O Shraddhavan, O luminous Savitri, I sent you forth of old beneath the stars, a dual power of God in an ignorant world, in a hedged creation, shut from limitless self, bringing down God to the insentient globe, lifting earth beings to immortality. In the world of my knowledge and my ignorance, where God is unseen and only is heard a name, and knowledge is trapped in the boundaries of mind, and life is hauled in the dragnet of desire, and matter hides the soul from its own sight. You are my force at work to uplift earth's fate. Myself that moves up the immense incline between the extremes of the Spirit's night and day. He is my soul that climbs from nescient night through life and mind and supernature's vast to the supernal light of timelessness, and my eternity hid in moving time, and my boundlessness cut by the curve of space. It climbs to the greatness it has left behind, and to the beauty and joy from which it fell, to the closeness and sweetness of all things divine, to light without bounds and life illimitable, taste of the depths of the ineffable's bliss, touch of the immortal and the infinite. He is my soul that gropes out of the beast to reach humanity's heights of lucent thought and the vicinity of truth sublime. He is the Godhead growing in human lives and in the body of earth beings' forms. He is the soul of man climbing to God in nature's surge out of earth's ignorance. O Savitri, thou art my spirit's power, the revealing voice of my immortal word, the face of truth upon the roads of time, pointing to the souls of men, the routes to God. While the dim light from the veiled spirit's peak falls upon matter's stark inconscient sleep, as if a pale moonbeam on a dense glade, and mind in a half-light moves amid half-truths, and the human heart knows only human love, and life is a stumbling and imperfect force, and the body counts out its precarious days. You shall be born into man's dubious hours in forms that hide the soul's divinity and show through veils of the earth's doubting air my glory breaking as through clouds a sun, or burning like a rare and inward fire, and with my nameless influence fill men's lives. Yet shall they look up as to peaks of God, and feel God like a circumambient air, and rest on God as on a motionless base. Yet shall there glow on mind like a horned moon the Spirit's crescent splendor in pale skies, and light man's life upon his Godward road. But more there is concealed in God's beyond, that shall one day reveal its hidden face. Which way are we going today? This way, Rosa. Thank you.
Listen to life with him, tight heart, desires. O Shraddhavan, O luminous Savitri, I send you your photo of beneath the stars, a dual power of God in an ignorant world, in a hedged creation, shut from limitless self, bringing down God to the insentient globe, lifting earth beings to immortality.
Yes. So this is still this voice of the Supreme Lord speaking. And first he tells Savitri, descend to life. You can return to earth with the one that your heart is desiring. And then he tells them who they really are. O Shraddhavan, O luminous Savitri, I sent you forth. Of old, long ago, I sent you to live beneath the stars, on the earth. You are a dual power of God in an ignorant world. Dual, two in one, or two separate ones. One power of God. And you are, I have sent you forth to be in this ignorant world. Your task is in this hedged creation, this creation which has a hedge, a barrier around it, no? That shuts it off from limitless self. The divine experience is limitless self without any hedge or barrier, no? But this creation that we are in, where he has sent Shraddhavan and Savitri, it is separated from that limitless self. And your task there is to bring down God to the insentient globe. That is our earth, our material earth, which doesn't have senses, which is not living in itself. Your task is to lift earth beings up towards the immortal state. Martin.
In the world of my knowledge and my ignorance, where God is unseen and only is heard the name, and knowledge is trapped in the boundaries of mind, and life is hauled in the dragnet of desire, and matter hides the soul from its own side. You are my force at work to uplift Earth's state, myself that moves up the immense incline between the extremes of the spirit's night and day.
Yes. So this is the world of God's knowledge and ignorance. And here, we don't see God. He's hidden from us by the appearances of things, no? Only we have heard his name, the divine name. In this world, knowledge is trapped, caught in a trap, in the boundaries, the limitations of mind. And our life is being dragged along like fishes in a net, a drag net. The fishermen put it down and they drag that net along the bottom of the sea or the bottom of the river. No? Life is being pulled along in this dragnet of desire. It's very difficult for human beings to escape from this net. No? And here in this world, matter hides the soul from its own sight. We can't see the soul, and the soul itself can't see all the souls. No? Its true self. In this world, he says, you too, Shraddhavan and Savitri. This you is plural, no? You are my force at work to uplift Earth's fate. The two of you together, you're a dual power. And that power is my force, which is working to uplift the earth. You are myself that's moving up the immense incline. An incline is a hill, a steep hill. If you go into the mountains, on the roads, there are signs showing steep incline. No? There's going to be a steep hill. So that's what is happening through earth evolution. God's self, which has involved itself in matter, is moving up this immense incline. It's very, very far from the bottom to the top. No? Between the extremes, the ends. One end is in inconscient matter, the other end is in conscious spirit. He says these are the extremes of the spirit's night in the inconscient, and it's day on the heights. That's both of them together. Then next he will tell about Shraddhavan, Bhavana.
He is my soul that climbs from ancient land. Through life and mind and supernature's vast, to the supernal light of timelessness, and my eternity hid in moony time, and my boundlessness cut by the curve of space.
Yes. So in his author's note at the beginning of the poem, Sri Aurobindo had told us that Shraddhavan represents the soul. No? So here the Supreme Lord says, he, Shraddhavan, is my soul. It's climbing, it's moving up this immense incline from the night of nescience, of knowing, through the stages of life and mind and the higher levels, the vast levels of supernature, all the way up to the other extreme, to the supernal light of timelessness, beyond the limitations of time. And that freedom from time is combined with the eternity being hidden in moving time. And at the same time, the boundlessness, the infinity of the Supreme, which is cut by the curve of space. This must be the very borderline of the manifestation. Chandra.
It climbs to the greatness it has left behind, and to the beauty and joy from which it fell, to the closeness and sweetnesses of all things divine, to light without bounds and light illimitable, taste of the depths of the ineffable's bliss, touch of the immortal and the infinite.
Yes, so he says it. This is my soul. Shraddhavan is my soul, he says. This soul is climbing up from this ancient, this nescient night. It's climbing up to the greatness which it has left behind when it descended into the grip of ignorance and death, when it descended into the earth, this hedged creation. It's climbing back to the beauty and joy from which it fell when it left the superconscient heights. It's climbing up to the closeness and sweetness of all things divine, to light without bounds, illimitable light. This everlasting day which Savitri is experiencing. And life illimitable, infinite life. He's climbing up to where he can taste the depths of the ineffable's bliss. The bliss of the ineffable is not something that's just on the surface, a passing movement. It's something extremely deep, fathomless. Anybody remembers what this word ineffable means? Yes, something that can't be put into words. So the ineffable is one of our names for the Lord, for God, for the Supreme. one of the labels we can put on him. He's climbing up to the touch of the immortal and the infinite, the state of immortality, the state of infinity. Supu?
He is my soul that moves out of the earth to reach humanity's heights of Lucian thought and the vicinity of truth sublime.
Yes. So again he says, he is my soul that gropes out of the beast. If the current goes off and you're left in the dark and you have to feel your way, you can't see anything. So the soul in the evolution, how has it reached this stage of humanity? It didn't know where it was going. It didn't have an aim or a goal. Somehow, gropingly, it has emerged from the animal state, from the beast, to reach this human level of lucent thought, thought that has some light, lucent, and to come nearer to the sublime state and world of truth. Vicinity means nearby, in the vicinity. We can say that Auroville is in the vicinity of Pondicherry. It is nearby. So the human heights are not yet reaching the truth world, but they are near, some way on the way to it. Dhanalakshmi.
He is the Godhead growing in human lives and in the body of earth beings forms. He is the soul of man climbing to God in nature's search out of earth's ignorance.
Yes. So he, Shraddhavan, is the divine being, the Godhead that is growing in human lives and is growing in the body of earth beings' forms, all these different material forms. That divine superhuman being is growing. He's the soul of man climbing to God in nature's surge out of earth's ignorance. A surge is a big wave that comes. Or we may say, if a bird flies up suddenly from its nest or where it's been perched, surges up quickly and powerfully into the sky. So that is what nature is doing in the process of evolution. It's surging up, rising up to escape from the ignorance of the mortal state in this world of matter. So that is 4 sentences he has used to describe what is the significance of Shraddhavan, who Shraddhavan is. Now he will say something about Savitri. Sergei.
O Savitri, thou art my sleepless power, the revealing force of my immortal love, in the face of truth, upon the roads of time, pointing the souls of man, the roads to God.
Yes. You are the power of my spirit, Savitri, and you speak the revealing voice of my immortal word, my word of truth creation. You are the face of truth on the roads of time, and you are pointing, indicating to the souls of men the ways to reach God. The Supreme says this to Savitri, and he's telling her what is her role and her mission, and we've seen her fulfilling that role and that mission. But somebody once pointed out these 4 lines to me to say that this is Sri Aurobindo's description of this poem. Oh, Savitri, you are my spirit's power. This poem contains the revealing voice of the immortal word. You show the face of truth upon the roads of time, showing the souls of human beings the ways to God. It's true, no? That's what Savitri is and does. Ganga Lakshmi.
While the dim light from the very Spirit's speak falls upon mother's dark and quenching sleep, as if a pale moonbeam from the dense glade, and mine in half light moves amid of truth. And the human heart knows only human love. And life is a struggling and imperfect force, and the body counts out its precarious days. You shall be born into man's deadless house. The forms of hide the soul's divinity, and show true veils of the earth doubting air. My glory breaking as through clouds the sun, or burning like a rare and inward fire, and with my nameless influence feel man's lives.
So here is beginning the long prophecy of the Supreme Lord about what this great success, this great victory of Savitri will mean for the earth in the future. So the first thing he tells is that as long as it is like this, that the light from the peak, the summit of the Spirit, is only falling dimly on this stark, inconscient sleep of matter, as a dim light, as a light like a pale moonbeam on a dense glade, a glade in the forest, which is thickly surrounded by trees. So the moonlight only falls very faintly through. The Spirit's light is falling onto the inconscience of matter in that very faint way. While it is like that, as long as mind is moving in this half-light, this twilight of knowledge and ignorance, and it's moving surrounded by half-truths, as long as the human heart only knows human love, not divine love, as long as life is a stumbling and imperfect force, not the great divine power that it is meant to become. As long as the body has to count out its precarious days. Precarious means days that are in danger. At any moment, something may happen to the body and it may not have any more days. As long as it is like that, he says, you too, Shraddhavan and Savitri, you will be born into the doubtful hours of human beings. And you will be born in human forms that hide the divinity of the soul within. You will be born in appearances like human beings, in these forms that only show my glory breaking through the forms like the sun shining through clouds. Sometimes in cloudy weather or in a cloudy country, we only rarely get little shafts of sunlight coming. No? That's what the bodies are hiding, the inner divinity. No? Or his glory burns only very rarely and deep within. But still in those forms, disguising your divinity, you will be exerting an influence. You will be filling men's lives with my nameless influence. So perhaps for many, many generations it will be like that. In a letter about the poem, Sri Aurobindo has said this story is supposed to have happened right back in the dawn of human time, when it was necessary to break open a way towards the immortal state. So the Supreme is speaking to Shraddhavan and Savitri at that moment, at that very, very early time in human history, and looking forward and saying, it's going to be like this for a long time, and as long as it is like that, you too will be born in these forms that hide the soul's divinity and the divine glory, only allowing it to be shown rarely or faintly. But still you will be spreading my influence in human lives. Is it clear? Anybody wants to ask anything?
This line, the earth's doubting air.
Earth's doubting air. Yeah. He always says that earth is so doubtful, but here I think it means that the earth's atmosphere is full of doubt. There's no certainty about it. Our minds are full of doubt, and everything is doubtful here. Kamala, would you read?
Shraddhavan, I have
Yes, sorry.
Another question. If I understood you well, Shri Aurobindo was saying here, Shraddhavan and Savitri will, for the time being, come as human beings here.
In human form.
In human form, sorry.
Yeah.
I read in line 53, 1153, he is the Godhead, and that is Shraddhavan?
Yes, this is Shraddhavan. So that's the inner divinity, that's what he represents, and that is growing. He's the Godhead growing in human lives. So that's what's been happening in the whole course of evolution. That there's this spark of divinity which inhabits every earthly form, but through evolution it grows and becomes stronger. We can say that that is the Godhead, the divine part. And that's what Shraddhavan represents, and that was why it was so important to rescue him from the grip of death and ignorance.
so to understand for me, they both are coming as human beings and they are growing to Godheads. Is that just to set it perhaps?
He says that they are like complementary parts of his power. She is the divine power that has come down to save, and Shraddhavan is the soul involved in ignorance and death, which is growing. So they are working together. It's a dual power which has a dual influence. It's like Sri Aurobindo's symbol. There's a triangle coming down and there's a triangle moving up. Yeah?
Yet shall they look up as to speak of God, and feel God like a circum ambient air, and rest on God as on a motionless base.
Yes. So this is human beings. They won't see you as you are, and they won't see me in my glory, but they will feel that nameless influence, maybe without knowing even that they're feeling it. So that will make them look up, aspire for heights, the peaks of God, and it will help them to feel God like a circumambient air, a surrounding atmosphere. And they will be supported, they will feel that they're supported on God as on a motionless base, not something that's subject to earthquakes, which is absolutely firm and solid. Like God is the base, God is the peaks to which they will rise, and God is the circumambient air, atmosphere. He says, even in this state of ignorance, that's what this word yet implies here. And in the next sentence also, slava.
Yet shall there go on my light in ornate moon, the spirit's crescent splendor in pale skies, and light man's life on his work.
Yes. So all through that time when Savitri and Shraddhavan are born in human forms, there will be some light falling on the human mind, like a new moon, the crescent moon, when it first appears in the evening skies. So beautiful. No? That's why he says the Spirit's crescent splendor. And the word crescent means growing, increasing. Now, when we see the moon like that, we know that it's going to get bigger. And when the first crescent moon comes, the skies are not dark. They are pale. There's still some light there. No? So that light of the Spirit will be showing man's life the way towards God. So that it will be like that, but now he says there's going to be much more. Joel.
But more there is concealed in God's beyond, that shall one day reveal its hidden face. Now mine is old, and its uncertain grave, Mind is the leader of the body and life. Mind, the thought-driven chariot of the soul, carrying the luminous wanderer in the night to vistas of a far uncertain dawn, to the end of the spirit's fathomless desire, to its dream of absolute truth and utter bliss.
Yes. So there is much more hidden. God has a beyond that we can't see, no? And there hidden are wonderful things that will one day reveal their hidden face. Now mind is all, and the uncertain light of mind, the uncertain ray, wavering ray. Mind is the leader of the body and life. Mind is like a chariot in which the soul is being carried along. No? And the horse that's pulling the chariot or driving the chariot is thought. No? That chariot is carrying the luminous wanderer in the night. The luminous wanderer is the soul, full of light, but is wandering in this darkness of the earthly ignorance. But it's being carried forward by mind towards vistas. Vistas are when you can see a long distance ahead of you. Vistas of a far, uncertain dawn. A dawn that will come, but now to mind it's difficult to believe in that dawn. It seems so far away and so uncertain. But that's where the soul is being carried. At the moment it's being carried by mind. Mind is the leader that's carrying it towards the end, the completion, the fulfillment of the spirit's fathomless desire, that deep purpose, into the spirit's dream of absolute truth and utter bliss. Sarojini.
There are greater destinies mind but cannot surmise, fixed on the summit of the living path.
Evolving
path. The traveler now treads in the ignorance onward of his next step, not knowing his goal.
Yes. So now it's difficult for us to envisage or imagine or believe in those greater destinies. Mind cannot surmise, we can't guess or imagine what they are like. But there they are. They will be revealed one day. They are already fixed on the summit of the evolving path, as if the evolution is winding up and up and up and up a mountain. On the summit there are those greater destinies that are fixed. But at the moment, the traveler in time, the soul, is treading that path, not knowing where it's going, in the ignorance. He doesn't even know what his next step will be. He doesn't know what his goal is. Basuji.
Mind is not always tireless climb can reach. There is a fire on the apex of the walls. There is a house of the eternal light. There is an infinite truth and absolute power.
So this is a great promise. We can trace the past course of evolution to a certain extent, at least its outer forms we can see. And now mind is not all this tireless climb of the soul can reach. And on the apex, the highest point of the worlds, there's a fire, a powerful burning energy. There is a house of the Eternal's light. There is an infinite truth, an absolute power. Perhaps we'll read just one more sentence. Gumsun.
The Spirit's mightiness shall cast off its mask. Its greatness shall be felt, sharpening them,
shaping. Yes.
Shaping the world's course. It shall be seen in its own paleness beams, a star rising from the inconscient night, a sun climbing to supernatural's peak.
Yes, thank you. So now the power of the Spirit is veiled from us, disguised from us. There's a mask of matter. But the evolving Spirit in humanity is going to become so powerful that it can throw away this mask. No? And then we shall be aware. Its greatness shall be felt, shaping the world's course. We will become aware, we'll be able to see how the power of the Spirit is shaping things. It's shaping things even now, but we can't understand, we don't see, we see only disasters and catastrophes and unpredictable things. No? Then we will be able to feel the greatness of the Spirit shaping the world's course, and we will even be able to see it unveiled, the light of the Spirit in its full beams without any covering. In one way it will look like a star rising up in the inconscious night, but then it will get to a certain level, and then we shall see that this star is a sun, and it's climbing up through the heavens to the peak of supernature. So that's a good place to stop for today. This prophecy, this long prophecy, continues to the bottom of page 710. So those of you who want to read, we can go back to line 1124 on page 702.
Descend to life with him thy heart desires. O Shraddhavan, O luminous Savitri, I sent you forth of old beneath the stars, a dual power of God in an ignorant world, in a hedged creation shut from limitless self, bringing down God to the insentient globe, lifting earth beings to immortality. In the world of my knowledge and my ignorance, where God is unseen and only is heard a name, and knowledge is trapped in the boundaries of mind, and life is hauled in the dragnet of desire, and matter hides the soul from its own sight. You are my force at work to uplift earth's fate, myself that moves up the immense incline between the extremes of the spirits, night and day. He is my soul that climbs from nescient night through life and mind and supernature's vast to the supernal light of timelessness, and my eternity hid in moving time, and my boundlessness cut by the curve of space. It climbs to the greatness it has left behind, and to the beauty and joy from which it fell, to the closeness and sweetness of all things divine, to light without bounds, and life illimitable, taste of the depths of the ineffable's bliss, touch of the immortal and the infinite. He is my soul that gropes out of the beast to reach humanity's heights of lucent thought and the vicinity of truths sublime. He is the Godhead growing in human lives and in the body of earth beings' forms. He is the soul of man climbing to God in nature's surge out of earth's ignorance. O Savitri, thou art my spirit's power, the revealing voice of my immortal word. The face of truth upon the roads of time, pointing to the souls of men the routes to God. While the dim light from the veiled spirit's peak falls upon matter's stark inconscient sleep, as if a pale moonbeam on a dense glade, and mind in a half-light moves amid half-truths, and the human heart knows only human love, and life is a stumbling and imperfect force, and the body counts out its precarious days. You shall be born into man's dubious hours, in forms that hide the soul's divinity, and show through veils of the earth's doubting air, my glory breaking as through clouds a sun, or burning like a rare and inward fire, and with my nameless influence fill men's lives. Yet shall they look up as to peaks of God, and feel God like a circumambient air, and rest on God as on a motionless base. Yet shall there glow on mind like a horned moon the Spirit's crescent splendor in pale skies, and light man's life upon his Godward road. But more there is concealed in God's beyond, that shall one day reveal its hidden face. Now mind is all, and its uncertain ray. Mind is the leader of the body and life. Mind, the thought-driven chariot of the soul, carrying the luminous wanderer in the night to vistas of a far uncertain dawn, to the end of the Spirit's fathomless desire, to its dream of absolute truth and utter bliss. There are greater destinies mind cannot surmise, fixed on the summit of the evolving path the traveller now treads in the ignorance, unaware of his next step, not knowing his goal. Mind is not all his tireless climb can reach. There is a fire on the apex of the worlds. There is a house of the Eternal's light. There is an infinite truth, an absolute power. The Spirit's mightiness shall cast off its mask. Its greatness shall be felt, shaping the world's course. It shall be seen in its own veilless beams. A star rising from the inconscient's night, a sun climbing to supernature's peak,